Goeienaand. Good evening, fellow South Africans and citizens of the world. Now, this is a shout out to Andreas, who drew this article to my attention, and it's a very, very interesting analogy. It's by Mike Smith, and it's covering basically the water temperature rising with the frog in the boiling water. You know what I'm talking about. You could also call it a slow war. The Urban Dictionary defines a slow war as a war that is only visible when the big pattern is revealed over time. If you could play the seemingly isolated events of a slow war in speeded up time, its real nature would be visible. A slow war is the opposite of the blitzkrieg, a war so slow that you hardly notice. A war so slow that those waging it can deny that it's actually happening. Under the fog of war, they hide it as ordinary crime. The end result is still the same as the blitzkrieg, total annihilation of the enemy. War has changed a lot over the last 100 years or so. We have seen chemical warfare in World War I, blitzkrieg in World War II, nuclear war, Cold War, People's War, to name but a few. The slow war is also a strategy of the USA against the world, little steps at a time, ever coming closer to the goal of world domination. You see it in their war on drugs in South America, their involvement in Africa under AFRICOM, their impossible bases strewn all over Europe, etc. A microcosm of this is a slow war against whites in South Africa. If the whites were told 20 years ago that they would have to give 50% of their farms away to blacks, you probably would have had a war. If the white South Africans were told 20 years ago that their Afrikaans schools and universities would be forced to become English and taken over by blacks, you would probably have had war. If you told Afrikaners 20 years ago that their language would disappear from television, you would probably have had a war. If whites were told that they would be forced out of the civil service in their hundreds of thousands and replaced by incompetent blacks, you would have had war. If you told whites 20 years ago that the names of all their towns and streets would be replaced with the names of Marxist terrorists, you would have had war. If you killed 4,000 white farmers en masse 20 years ago and raped, tortured and murdered another 40,000 whites in their homes, you would have had a war. If you told whites 20 years ago that they would be handing their beautiful country over to incompetent, thieving Marxist scum who would steal their tax money in the billions, you would have had a war. Yet all of this and a lot more happened in the 20-year reign of the ANC. Where is the war? The war is a one-sided event, and it is waged by a tyrannical regime against a 10% minority of the population in South Africa, who is not fighting back because they cannot see the war. The most amazing part is that so many whites, mostly misanthropic liberals, refuse to acknowledge it. It is only a few right-thinking whites who are able to speed the events of the last 20 years up and see it for what it really is. The ultimate question is, how do you fight against such a slow war? I often get the other types of slow war deniers, those who say that, wait, when the time comes, we will fight. At the moment, there is no fight yet. Exactly. When is the time? These are the ones who do not even realize that what kind of war has been waged upon them. They have not made the paradigm shift yet. They are still expecting a Boer War or a border war when the enemy has changed his tactics so long ago. Whilst the quicksand slowly sucks them under, they wait for some event where the black hordes will descend upon the whites and murder them in their thousands, an event that might never come. Meanwhile, the slow war continues, and one day they will wake up, look out of the window and ask, where have all the white South Africans gone? Very interesting insight, and I thought I'd share that with you. All right, guys, please remember to subscribe to be kept informed. Ring the bell to get the updates, and have a great evening. Bye for now.